why there's no such thing as work-life balance, and how I juggle everything as a single mum. Hi, I'm Lucy Griffiths, and I'm a single parent, and I am juggling life, looking after my son, and also running my business. And how do I do this? How do I manage to scale my business and show up and be a full-time, full-on parent for my son? Well, one of the things I think that is a massive myth that we hear about so much is that we have to find that work-life balance. And I'm going to say there is no such thing as work-life balance. Very often we are told that we need to try and squeeze everything in and do more. The reality is, actually, it's about doing less. It's about making choices of what is important to you so that you are absolutely clear in what your priorities are. Because we are told that we should be doing so many different things. And you make a choice what is going to work for you in your life. But I want to run you through a few things that I really do that help me. So my son is autistic and I need to be there and very present for him. So I do the school run, I drop him off at school, and I pick him up from school at 3:15. So I have a very fixed window of time that I can work from, just about 9:30 until 3 o'clock. So it's a tight window where I have to be really focused with my time and what I'm able to do. So the first thing I do, which is really key, is I go for a run. So I make sure that I have a bit of me time. I have something that is for me, for my fitness, for my mental health. So I go for a run on the way home from the school run. So I literally drop him off and I start running. So I will run for half an hour. I'm not the world's best runner, but I go for a run. And so by me going for a run, I am covering off a couple of things. I listen to some meditations while I'm out for a run, so I clear my head. I think about what I want to achieve for the day. I get real clarity about what my goals are, what I want to do. And so I've got that thinking time and that thinking space. Secondly, I'm also, getting out in the fresh air, I'm getting vitamin D, sunshine, and I'm exercising. So all of those things. So I feel so much better. I'm much more alive and ready to go. And then I come home and then I start working. So I will crack on from about 9:30 in the morning. And at that point, I am really clear about what I'm doing for the day. And I try and break down my tasks into 45-minute chunks. So I use the Pomodoro method. So I'm breaking down and I focus on one activity. So I have a list of things that I need to do in the day and I'll be ticking them off. I'll be saying, right, you've got to do all of these things. I'm really clear not to overwhelm myself. So if it's a bigger project, I will make sure that I set it aside for one particular day. Otherwise, if it's kind of just itty bitty tasks, I try and get those done. So I tick them off the list and I feel better. And then when it's a bigger project that I'm working on, I would try and carve out, let's say 2 hours where I say, okay, I need to write, let's say I'm writing 7 emails for an email campaign for my business and it's some kind of marketing. So I need to carve out a chunk of time. And within that, I'll be very clear, like, right, let's focus, let's get going. And I make sure that I allow myself that space to work on it. At particular points in the day, I might find myself that I'm getting a bit bored or whatever it is, and I will then go and do something like do the laundry or do something boring and mundane. So I allow myself some thinking time, but I'm doing some jobs around the house, so I just keep the house ticking over. I don't eat lunch till much later in the day. And this is really important for me because as soon as I have if I have food earlier, I hit that food coma and I basically want to fall asleep. And I'm pretty useless after I've eaten. So I try and leave it as late as possible in the day so that I actually get the main thinking and doing tasks done, so that I am then, absolutely maximizing that time. So sometimes if I'm on a roll and I actually have that window where I'm like, I've got to get everything done, I might skip lunch. And so by doing that, I might be really hungry by the time I pick my son up from school. So when we come back home, I am literally like, I've got to eat that right now. So then I will make a really early dinner so that I am then eating at that time, and I'm eating with my son. So that means that I've maximized and leveraged that use of the time, that window that I have of when I can get my work done. And so it means that I am really clear in my working hours, even though I don't have many of them. I've got like literally a 6-hour window that I have to, 5.5-hour window that I have to get my work done. I'm really focused in that time. Now, sometimes if I've got a big project on, it's much easier because you're kind of in the flow, you're focused, you get it done. But on the weeks where it's like, oh, I'm not quite so busy, how do you maintain that focus? Well, that's where really being clear, and that's why that space for running in the morning gives me that opportunity to think, what is my task for the day? Because I'm somebody who, unless I'm in a project, I find it difficult to start. So let's imagine that I need to write a big sales email, or I need to write a sales copy to sell a particular course or a service. And I might procrastinate on that task. I might find that task difficult to actually start. So what I try and do is I set aside a day or like a 2-hour window, and I just start the project. And it might be that my first attempt at doing that particular task is not great. But once I'm in it and doing it, it is so much easier to achieve that task. When it gets to that 2:30, 2:45 window, I am literally packing up and trying to run out the door in order to then go and pick my son up from school. Once I pick my son up from school, I am then very, very present with him. So it means that I don't look at work. I don't look at social media. I hide my apps on my phone. And it's really important to do this to absolutely maximize your time. So James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, which is a brilliant book and worth listening to on Audible. He talks about how you can just remove your apps from your phone because they suck your time and your energy. So I still need the apps on my phone, but I hide them. So I don't look at them, and I limit my time, so I don't look at them very often. So when it means in the evening, I am not looking at my apps. I'm fully focused on my son. I'm cooking dinner. I'm focused on his reading, his spelling, all of his activities, and I'm very present with him. Once I put him to bed, then I can then decide what else needs doing. Do I need to pick up some more work and work a little bit in the evening? And I will maybe, if I'm doing a project, I may do some work in the evening and I'll work for an hour or two. Or I might run a workshop in the evening because I have US clients. It works for me to have a client in the evening once I've put my son to bed, and I will talk to them for an hour or two. But I'm really focused that I am separating my work and sun time. I don't try and mix the two. Occasionally, I may have to write an email or something is urgent, but I try to really distinguish between the two, because if you're trying to respond to social media and be present with your children, it's really hard to do that. Whereas if you can separate those, but be really focused with your time, it makes it so much easier. I then try and get to bed at a decent time. So in the morning, I will wake up about 5:30 a.m. and that gives me a bit of space for me time. It allows me to kind of think through what the day is. I listen to a meditation. I get real clarity over my list of activities and goals that I need to deliver on. And I have time to write a social media post. So I don't schedule my social media. I will write how I'm feeling, what's going on in the day, and I will write that first thing in the morning on LinkedIn. So about 6 a.m, I will be writing that post. I'll write something and then I'll spend a good 20 minutes or so commenting on posts. So by doing that early, I catch an early audience on LinkedIn. I am also commenting on other people's posts. So I've sort of shown up on LinkedIn, I've done my thing. And it means that I'm catching that window where I leverage social media. I'll repurpose that content on Instagram, on Facebook. So I tick those boxes of social media, and I've done that by the time my son wakes up. So it means that I might have a couple of comments that I need to comment on just literally in the course of the morning. But once my son is awake, I am focused on him, his breakfast, getting him dressed, getting myself dressed, getting him off for school. By the time I come back and a bit later on, I can then comment a bit more on those posts on social media. But what I've done is I have then absolutely leveraged and maximized my time without affecting and impacting my son and being really present for him. So it means that you can fit in all of those activities. You can juggle your business. The other thing that really helps you is when you outsource what you do. So if you can outsource key activities, things that really are time sucking and not helping you. So it may be that you say, right, do I need to outsource? I'm good at building a sales page and writing it, but actually I'm no good at the tech, or whatever it may be that is something that you struggle with. If you can get help with outsourcing that activity, it is well worth your time if you are then actually covering those costs because of the clients that you are attracting. And so it's really important to make sure that you have that balance without trying to do everything. If you can really focus your time and be laser focused, it's almost like shining a laser, shining that light on that one area. Work on that one particular area and then move on to the next task, rather than trying to do everything at once and feeling like you are failing. Obviously, there are times when it all goes up in the air and it feels like everything is a bit crazy and it's topsy-turvy. But most of the time, if you can keep that pattern, it will help you to actually manage everything, feel like you are vaguely in control, and feel less frazzled and fraught, and actually enjoy the way you show up in life. I hope you found this video useful. I share lots of tips and strategies to help you build and grow your online business. I'd love to hear in the comments, how do you manage your time best? Please share. I'd love to hear. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, bye, bye.